everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be going over my priority reads for the year of 2025, and this is a little late. I wasn't actually originally thinking about doing this, but then these stupid little hairs are bugging me. Ugh, tiny little short hairs. Anyway, I decided that it was something that I wanted to do because I was realizing that I had a lot of books that I specifically wanted to make sure that I read this year if I could. So here we are, and I'm going to share my priority reads for the year. I was originally going to do 25, and then I realized I pretty much put the entire Bridgerton series on here, and that takes up a good chunk. So I didn't put a cap on the number. I ended up with 31 books. So I have 31 books on here, which is going to make it a little tricky. I don't think I'm going to get through all of these this year because I also have my TBR that I'm going to be doing. So we'll see. But I did want to have this list just to pull from. So here we go. First off is the entire Bridgerton series minus the first two books because I've already read those. So we have An Offer from a Gentleman, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, To Sir Philip with Love, When He Was Wicked, It's in His Kiss, On the Way to the Wedding, and then Happily Ever After. And then I also have all of the prequel books, and I have the Queen Charlotte book, which was not originally in the series. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be exactly like the show because it wasn't, I don't think it was made before the show. I think the show was made first. But I am not sure. Excuse me. So, I have Queen Charlotte, Because of Miss Bridgerton, The Girl with the Make-Believe Husband, The Other Miss Bridgerton, and First Comes Scandal. And my plan is to read the core books first. So I'm going to read the original series first, and then I'll read Queen Charlotte, and then I'll read the prequels. Now, I wanted to go through those super quick. Because I feel like everybody already knows what Bridgerton is. It's a historical romance series. Takes place in Regency England, something like that. And for the main books, every book follows the story of a different Bridgerton sibling. And so far I have read Daphne's and Anthony's stories. So those are all the rest. Those didn't really need to be, those don't need to take up too much time. So now I'm going to go through the rest of the books on this list. We've got Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver, and this is an enemies to lovers serial killer romance, I believe. Oh, friends to lovers. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure they're both either one of them is a serial killer. I think one of them is a serial killer and one of them is like a hitman or something. I don't know, but I want to read this mostly because I want to see if I want to buy the next ones. This is a series of standalones, I believe. I don't think they're interconnected. Could be wrong. They might be interconnected. I don't know. But I want to read this one because, first of all, just because I want to read it, but also because I want to see if I want the second one or not, because every time I go to the bookstore, I see it and I'm like, should I buy it? And I'm like, I can't because I haven't read the first one. I need to not be doing that. So that one's there. A lot of these are really for that reason. So I have Shatter Me, and again, this is for that reason also. This is, I believe, a paranormal fantasy, or like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not fantasy. Is it fantasy? I don't know. I think it's like a, why can't I cannot think of the word. Whatever. Paranormal something, I'm pretty sure. But this is a very popular series, and I was strong. I was strong, and I only bought the first one but now I need to read it because there's like a bazillion books in this series. So then we have Nightbane by Alex Astor, and this is the second book in the Lightlark series, and I really liked the first one. It definitely had its like issues with the writing, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself with that book, and I'm super excited to read the second one. There is also a third one, and I'm pretty sure they've announced that there's going to be a fourth one as well. But I want to read the second one just because I really enjoyed the first one, and I don't want there to be too much time between having read the first one and now reading the second one. I want to read it while the story is still pretty fresh in my memory. So that's why this is on here. Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. First of all, the book is gorgeous, beautiful. But this is in here for two reasons. One, for the reason why a lot of these are in here is I have the first book and I want to read it so that I know whether or not I can cross this series off my list, or if I need to try and get the next one in the series next time I go to the bookstore. But also I read the duology, can't remember the name right now, The Shadows Between Us duology, and I loved both of those. 5 stars for both. Really good. So I am excited to read another one of her series. So that's why that's on there. Next we have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, and it's on here because I've had this book for a while, a couple years I think, and I need to read it because it's a series and I need to see if I want to buy the rest of the series. I'm not going to get into what all of these are about because I feel like that would take a million years. And I also don't know exactly what all of them are about, just to be honest. Next is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Zusak? I don't know. I got this at Goodwill for $4. I have no idea what this is about, but it sounded interesting when I originally picked it up. It's on here. Honestly, a lot of these are now, let's see, I have a couple other ones, but other than that, a lot of the books that I have on this list are because I just want to get them read and get them off my shelves because I don't think that they're ones that I'm going to want to keep. And I want to clear off space on my shelves if I can. But yeah, a lot of them were given to me by family. So yeah, this one I did by myself, but it's a chunker. And it's a standalone, so I'm going to read it and see if I am going to make space on my shelf or not. Okay, this one, Heartstopper Volume 2, is in here as kind of a placeholder, but also not, because this is on my list. But I don't own the first one, and I haven't read the first one, so I need to buy the first one and read it so that I can read this one. Because I got this at Where You Been because they had it and I do want to read this, and the day that I went it was like 10 books for $1. So yeah. So the first one, whenever I get it, and this one are both on the list. The Great Gatsby, like this, I mean, this is pretty small writing, but like it's a teeny tiny little book, and I have never read The Great Gatsby, so we're gonna get that done. Then we have Average Jones by Samuel Hopkins Adams. No idea what this is about. I also got this at Where You Been because they were like 10 cents. And I ended up getting them cheaper than that because the person who was like counting the items in my cart just like looked and saw I had a ton of books and was like, okay, $1. And I had like 20 books in there. So we're going to read that. Like I said, a lot of these are because I just want to read them and see if I can get them off my shelves. Another one I got at Where You Been was Harriet Hull and the Miracle Cure. Again, no idea what this is about, but it's a relatively short one, so shouldn't take me too long. This is by Sonia Garrett. Let's get this one out of the way. So this one is Apprentice to the Villain, and this is the sequel to Assistant to the Villain, which I have already read, so now I can read the second one. So a lot of these, not a lot of these, some of these are like sequels to things I've already read. And then after I finish going through the physical books, I do have some other ones on my list that I'm going to go through, some KU ones, and then I think one or two that I don't have yet because they're not out. So, Assistant to the Villain, the Assistant, not even Assistant, oh my god, Apprentice to the Villain. Apprentice to the Villain is on this list because I don't want there to be too much time between when I read like a book and then the next book in a series. So I just want to keep, I want to keep things rolling. You know what I mean? You get it. So next is Killers of the Flower Moon by David Graham. No idea what this is about. The next three, this one and the next two I'm going to show you, were given to me, I think, by my grandma or my mom. And I have no idea what they're about. It was just like, oh, books? Free? Cool, give them. So, the Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI. Okay. There's also a movie. Oh, cool. Next is On Mystic Lake by Kristen Hanna. And I know she's a really popular thriller author. Never read anything by her before. Oh, cool. There's scribbles back here. Cute. As long as there's no scribbles on the words, which it doesn't look like there is. Okay. Just on the reviews. Ooh. Yeah, so that's on there. I never read a Kristen Hanna book. We're going to give it a go. And then last is The Rooster Bar by John Grisham. I did not buy this at Goodwill, but whoever gave it to me did, I think. Again, no idea what this is about, so we're gonna see for sure. I really want to get things off my shelves if I don't think that they're things that I'm gonna want to keep. So that's why a bunch of these are on here. So those are all the ones that I have physically. And then I also want to read A Prison of Ink and Ice by Rebecca F. Kenny, and that is on KU. That is part of a series, and I've read the first 3 books in it already. And I don't even really know how to describe these. They're like retellings of other movies. So there's one that's like a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, or like reimagining of Alice in Wonderland, The Nutcracker, and The Wizard of Oz. The next one in that series is A Prison of Ink and Ice. And then there are 2 books. It's part of a spin-off duology. And that's A Hunt So Wild and Cruel and A Heart So Cold and Wicked. Those are both also on KU. And those are both also on this list. And then there is A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. The book is not out yet. It's supposed to come out, I think, at the end of July. That is the sequel to A Study in Drowning. And when I read that book, first of all, I didn't know that it was going to have a sequel. I thought it was just done, which I'm glad it's going to have a sequel because I feel like there's a lot that's just like either unanswered from the first one or just there wasn't enough time to explore in the first one. I feel like the first book wasn't bad, but it bit off way more than it could chew. And I feel like that kind of pulled it down a little bit. It could have been a lot better. I just think there was just like too much going on and not enough focus. But I'm glad there's a second one because hopefully it's going to give some clarity to some of the things that I feel like were like kind of muddled in the first one. So we'll see. I don't even remember what I gave that book. I think I gave that book 3 stars. And normally I wouldn't like bother going out of my way to read the sequel to a 3-star, but I'm hoping that the sequel redeems the issues that I had in the first one. Because I think that's plenty possible. And then, is that it? Yeah, that is it. That's everything on my list. So the way that I'm going to do this is I have 31 books. That means I need to read between 3 and 4 of these books per month in order to have read the entire list by the end of the year. So every month I'm going to choose 4 of the books off of this list, and I'm going to automatically roll those in to my TBR for the month. So I will play my TBR game as normal, but then if you've watched my TBR games before, sometimes I will have automatic roll-ins, and usually those are books that I already started reading the month before but maybe didn't finish, or books like the Bridgerton books where I know I want to like keep this series rolling and keep reading them because I have the whole thing and there's so many that if I didn't read the book that I had in my TBR, I would automatically roll it in to the next one. Hopefully that makes sense. But now I'm going to be having 4 books from this stack automatically rolled in every single month, and those will be in addition to the books that I pull for my TBR game. So, which also means that I'm going to have like a +4 to the amount of books on my TBR, which means that the amount of books that I need to read in that month in order to not take a punishment roll the next month is going to be higher. We may just be rolling punishments for the entire year. I don't know. But yeah, that is everything on this list. So wish me luck because I'm going to need it. I did finish 4 books. 5 books. I technically finished 5 books in the month of... Actually, technically, I finished 4 in the month of March. But off of my March TBR, I read 5 books. Finished 5 books. So that's good. Considering the last few months, I've read like 1 or 0. Have I read 0? I don't know. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read any of these books, and you have opinions on them, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know your thoughts. And yeah, let me know if you guys think this is crazy or not. Am I crazy? Is this going to be too much? Who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.